Welcome, everybody, to the Big Dudes in the Trenches podcast. We are your three stereotypical podcast co-hosts, Average Build, Fat Guy, and Short King. Thank you very much for joining us.
Oh my God, I wasn't ready for it.
We are here to talk about some NCAA football, as we do. We love all Division I football, including tonight's Louisville-Murray State game, where Louisville busted out the retro logos on the field and on their helmets, and it looks amazing. And also, they're up 28-0, and it's about to be halftime. And holy shit, it's amazing.
So Georgia Tech better than Murray State?
I do
Barely.
believe it's fair to say that.
Barely.
But also have to say, Murray State's only holding them to less than they scored against Georgia Tech so far. So we'll see.
It's only halftime.
We'll see.
It's only halftime.
Anyway, we got week 2 of college football coming up for you. And you know how we do around here. We're going to preview a whole crap load of games.
Yeah, today is a lot of games.
And we're going to make picks for every game that we talk about here. Very exciting stuff. Very much so looking forward to it. How are y'all doing, by the way?
I'm doing good. I'm excited for more football. Dude, some of these games are wild this week. I'm ready for it.
My son has his first flag football game this week, so that's going to be exciting.
Hey.
I will miss more college football than normal because of that, but I'm excited to finally get to go start doing that now. So
that's what DVRs are for. And you can watch it together and study film together.
Oh yeah, totally. That's what the 5-year-old wants to do.
Before you know it, them scholarships are coming.
Just put some Mario on over the game film, some Mario overlays, and he'll be all in on it.
Oh gosh, the 2-screen TikToks. You got Subway Surfers and the overtop fits of game film. Oh, that's gross. All right.
Well, look, man, we got 25 games to go through.
So these are the rules. If you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, first of all, thank you very much for doing that. We do appreciate you. But also highly recommend that you watch us live on Twitch or find us on YouTube so that you can see these rules, because we're not going to read them every single week, but it's worth pulling them up, and you can pause it if you'd like to look over them once again. Let's look at how we stand currently with our pick'em. I'm in last place, and I hate you both.
I'm in first place, and I love you both.
Feels good.
Gross.
Because if I could just maintain, I don't have to beat Tug. Yeah, I don't have to beat Tug. But if I can just maintain close to him, I'll take it in bowl season. So it's fine.
I know you will. I really had to come out strong if I wanted a chance to beat you this year, and it's not going to happen. It's already over for me.
I don't know. I could fuck this week up pretty good.
I don't know, dude. You made a lot of the same picks.
I tried to. I'll just spoil it now as we get into our picks here. There were some games where I was like, I haven't picked with Tug in a minute. I haven't picked with Doug in a minute. So I did kind of have to play that game a little bit since I was the last one to get them in this week.
And I did change one since you got them in. So we don't even know what's going to happen here. This is wild. All right, so we're starting off with the ranked games, ranked versus ranked matchups, teams ranked in the AP poll or the Stats Perform, FCS Top 25. Starting us off, we have 4 ranked matchups here.
Because I changed it, I never added the animation back in.
Because somebody doesn't know how to work PowerPoint, is what it appears like.
I didn't even think of it. I know. I actually didn't even think of it.
That's amazing.
Look, we'll get to that pick in a bit. I can explain that one a little bit.
Okay. Well, let's start off with Ole Miss at Tulane, number 20 at number 24. Wild. This is a sellout game for Tulane, and the beautiful giant logo on the field is going to be incredible.
Beautiful and giant.
It really is.
5 team. I'm definitely taking Ole Miss here, though. Gotta say.
Yeah, I am too. I understand picking Tulane. They're a great team. They're solid across the board. Ole Miss has just been steadily improving under Lane Kiffin, and that momentum I feel like is going to carry at least this week. This is not a name brand pick for me. This is I see what Ole Miss is doing. And I actually like them in this matchup.
Yeah, I wasn't picking Ole Miss, but also, Tulane has more SEC championships than Ole Miss, so like that plays a part in it. And Tulane at home, I mean, they had such a great season, almost out of nowhere. Sneaky good season popped up for them last year. And I'm looking
after going 2-10 the year before.
Yeah,
wild.
They were a good 2-10 team though, which is dumb and cliche to say, especially in hindsight. But this year they picked up right where they left off, and I don't expect them to slow down just because they're playing Ole Miss. I think they're going to have a great game.
Next up, Weber State at Northern Iowa.
I'm
ESPN Plus.
I'm interested to see who I pick because I honestly don't remember.
Well, I'm looking at it.
Okay, there we go. Whew, there we go.
Yeah. Weber State is the higher ranked team, but it's also at the Beer Can in Iowa. A very tough place to play for anyone, including a Weber State team who I really don't think is as good as they were last year. But hey, we'll find out. And this is a fantastic non-conference game early in the FCS season.
Look, the only thing we know for sure is the skunk is off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I do appreciate.
You took the Bobcats. That's hats off to you. That one's impressive because, as Doug mentioned, the Beer Can in the field in Iowa. I mean, that's a hell of a place to play.
Definitely. Actually, I would say, I don't know if there are any stats for this or not, but I'm just going to go ahead and make the statement. One of the top 3 hardest places to play in all of the FCS. Like, that is a killer environment.
I can believe that, especially with it being a dome and a tight dome at that the reverberation of the sound, it's going to be stupid, which only makes it harder for opposing offenses.
Any college football dome is going to be hard to play in. Even the Carrier Dome is hard to play in, and Syracuse sucks ass.
I'm glad you talked over that joke. I do appreciate it very much. It's better for humility. Next up,
moving on.
Top 3 matchup here. Montana State is headed to South Dakota State. We're all picking the Jackrabbits here, but I do think this could be very potentially a semifinal or national championship preview here. These are 2 very, very good teams.
No, this game is not as clean cut as we make it out to be. I think the carry here, the determining factor is this is in Brookings, South Dakota. A little bit of travel from Montana, Montana State, not too much. But again, when you get the Jackrabbits at home, it's a different ball game. Even if it is outdoors, even if it is not in the middle of winter, which it is not, you actually get a decent weather day for this. So I'm excited to see this one go down.
Yeah, I'm just not going to pick against the national champions until they lose. Pretty simple.
Good thing we're not picking Georgia, or I'd have to punch you across the internet. Next up, Texas at Alabama. This game was a great one last year. This year it is in Tuscaloosa. I'm going with Alabama. I know we already saw Tugs going with Alabama.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, I'm just going to read Tug's mind here a little bit. He went with Alabama because they're at home. If I'm having to make a guess here,
actually, no. What happened was I put for the longest time until about this afternoon. I don't know who's winning this game. It was a toss up.
Yeah, I don't either.
I think Alabama has a really good team. I think Texas has a really good team. So I went back to last year's matchup. In last year's matchup, Texas had that game until Quinn Ewers went down and got hurt. But there's 1 or 2 key things that Texas lost. And I think that made the determination for me in this one. Their name is Bijan Robinson, and I forget the backup running back for
Roschon Johnson.
I knew you were going to forget his name.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait for that.
You know the only reason I know his name? Because the Bears drafted him while I was there.
Yeah.
So when I look at this matchup, there's a couple things that stick out to me. One, Alabama's safeties both took injuries, but they are expected to play this weekend. But 2, even last week, Texas was extremely one-dimensional on offense. And when I say one-dimensional, I don't mean one-dimensional like Colorado, where Quinn Ewers was passing to every receiver on the team, but that's all they were doing. I mean, Quinn Ewers was passing to Xavier Worthy. Full stop. Alabama is good enough to cover Xavier Worthy. Now you add in the at-home factor, and that is going to tilt it. But the reason I went with this is actually the loss of the running backs for Texas and them not proving me they have that running game back just yet.
I think that's
Yep,
fair.
I'm also
but
on
I would
Alabama.
also love
True.
to see Alabama not win. I would love to see Texas get that win back because they should have won last year. It was a shame that Quinn Ewers got hurt. And that really, as much as you want to give all the credit to the running backs, that you have to put a lot of that loss on the absence of Quinn Ewers.
So again, it's not all on the running backs. It's Bijan as a playmaker, and losing that factor, that game plan factor, is a big deal.
Here's my thoughts on the game. I hope Texas gets fucked up so that their fans shut the fuck up and leave us
I
all
agree with
alone
that. I
for
agree
at
with
least another 3 weeks. And then they'll be
It's
starting
almost-
up again. But at least we can shut them up for that long.
that. It's almost like Texas and Cowboys fans are the same people.
I know. And Yankees fans. The fuckers.
Oh,
Let's get out of
Yankees
here. Next slide. We actually have 3 more ranked versus ranked matchups, but these are stats perform top 25 teams going up to AP top 25 stadiums. We're just going to all pick the AP top 25 team here.
The skunk is on.
If there's a team that skunks us here, first of all, I'd be shocked. Second of all, more power to them.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Doug, you might hate this, but you've mentioned this a few times. The Ohio State one, the Youngstown State Ohio State game, would be the only one I'd be worried about. But at the end of the day, kind of, I just shit on Tug a little bit. But going back to it, I know that Ohio State's running game is going to be enough to carry them over Youngstown State if the Penguins are able to stop them through the air, like you're worried about.
I don't necessarily think that the Penguins will be able to stop them through the air, but also it's worth it to note that Ohio State had to get a waiver to play this game because they were successful last year. What's it, more than 6 wins, Doug? You can't play an FCS team in the Big Ten?
I think it's more than, it's either 7 or 8.
Okay, either way, Ohio State beat that number, so they had to get a waiver because they were planning to play Jim Tressel, or not play, but planning to honor Jim Tressel, and, well, he retired from Youngstown State. So that's off. So Youngstown State's just, it's a brutal
I don't
day.
think it's off. They're still going to do it. He just retired a year too early. That's all.
Yeah.
So he won't actually have any, rooting interest in this game, theoretically. That's what he'll say.
And I'm not as concerned as everyone else seems to be about Ohio State's quarterbacks. That just seems to be a thing they do every year where they just don't play well in week 1. And then somehow down the line figure it out.
That's the power of a good quarterbacks coach developing through the season.
And good wide receivers coaches, too.
I love Brian Hartline so much. All right, rivalry games this week.
Hold on. Did we even say what the other 2 games were? Or
No, we
just said
didn't.
there were? Okay, it's Delaware at Penn State, which we all picked Penn State, and then UC Davis at Oregon State, which we're all picking Oregon State as well.
Yeah, for hopefully obvious reasons. If it weren't obvious, read a book. All right, so before we jump into this week's rivalry games, I do want to apologize for last week's debacle. Awful, terrible mistake by the Big Dudes in the Trenches podcast. We missed a rivalry game last week. The Prairie View A&M Panthers won in overtime by a field goal against Texas Southern, and we didn't even talk about it at all. That is completely on me. I have let you all down. I have made strides to make sure it won't happen again.
It won't happen again. He was updating rivalry games literally until about 4 hours ago. He's like, shit, I forgot this one too. He's been making his list and checking it twice.
He is our Santa Claus.
Gonna find out who's winning these rivalry games. BDT is watching football. All right.
Oh my God.
Oh, Doug, you did it this time.
I didn't
learn how to
think we
use
were doing animations
PowerPoint
this week. I didn't think we were doing animations this week. That's
we're not doing individual. We're not doing individual animations.
I didn't set the rest of them. Anyway.
Oh my God. You fucked it up completely. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. All right. First up, Nebraska at Colorado, noon ESPN. We're all picking Colorado here. I got to say, it would be hilarious if Nebraska won this game for reasons. Also, I can't stand that I'm picking Colorado. I personally don't like them.
Look, I just don't see how Nebraska stops Colorado's offense is what this comes down to. It's even if it's one dimensional, it's dynamic and you don't know who they're passing to every down. Now, I still personally believe that 22 is too high of a rank for Colorado at the moment, personally, but we'll see how it goes throughout the season. But I don't see Nebraska pulling this one out.
Nebraska is cheeks. Yeah, I would agree that Colorado is ranked too high. I think there was a lot of hype and a lot of love for Dion and his team out there, and that's all that really drove them up because let's face it, TCU is a very, very, very different team. I'm all for, even if there's big turnover for the national champion, leaving them at number 1 until they lose. But I don't think that rule should apply to the runner-up, especially when they lost in their conference championship and then just magically beat Michigan in the semifinal too.
No.
And moving on. Holy Cross at Boston College. I completely understand. This is a long shot. However, hear me out. Holy Cross is good. Boston College is not good.
Boston College looked like shit last week.
Here's a big concern for me with Boston College this week. They did lose to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, there you go.
FBS school last weekend. If they go down early, which I do believe Holy Cross is capable of scoring a touchdown their first drive. If they go down early, it's very possible that Boston College cannot emotionally recover from that damage and just shits the bed the rest of the game. But that's kind of what I'm banking on here. And I would also very much love to see it because it would be hilarious. But
I mean, Boston College would be looking for a new coach if they lose this game.
Understandable.
Probably.
They might be looking for a new head coach after this season anyway. So
I mean, valid. If this were for some reason on the road, I would probably be more inclined to take Holy Cross. But up on Chestnut Hill, this is going to be the Eagles all day.
Chestnuts roasting on a Holy Cross fire. Nope, not.
I don't think you can't say that. Nope. Moving on.
Texas State at UTSA, the I-35 rivalry. I understand both of you taking UTSA, I must admit. However, number one, Texas State looked phenomenal last week in their first ever win over a Power 5 opponent. Second of all, they won as a double-digit underdog, which they are again. So they have a track record now of doing good things. And third, UTSA played like dog water last week. Like Frank Harris did not look good. So I'm just saying there's a chance.
There's no way we have another 3 turnover game from Frank Harris, not back-to-back weeks. I expect the turnaround here, and actually that's why I'm picking UTSA. Is not only I expect the turnaround, but I expect the fire and the revenge taken out on Texas State, because let's be honest, UTSA should have won against Houston.
At home in the Alamo Dome, yeah, UTSA is the better team. They took a better team further. They didn't win. They should have won. They're a much better team than Texas State, in my opinion. Texas State will probably pull this out just because I picked UTSA.
That's why we play the games. We'll see you on the field. Next up, Iowa at Iowa State. It's the Cy-Hawk battle, which apparently everyone in the state of Iowa hates that name for it, which makes me want to say it more.
Makes me love it even more. Yep. Thank you.
Also worth noting, almost every notable Republican presidential candidate will be in attendance for this game. Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Asa, what the fuck's his name? He's not going to win. Doesn't matter.
Don't ask me. I don't know.
I'm going with Iowa in this one for the simple reason that I do not trust Iowa State right now.
I don't think Iowa's going to hit their 25-point goal.
Doesn't matter. They're going to hold Iowa State to 3.
Yeah, I don't. As much as I don't trust Iowa State's offense, I also trust Iowa's defense. And that's really where this is coming from, because I actually went back and forth on this one for a while. And there was a little bit I want to match Doug, but there was also the fact that I do actually trust Iowa's defense. I do actually believe that in a rivalry game, their offense might be able to pull out at least close to that 25-point threshold again. And we'll see what kind of magic happens.
Look,
I hope he scores 24 again.
Look, I don't trust either of these teams. I'll just be honest. I think this is going to be a good, ugly game. It's going to be a close game. I'm just going to take the Cyclones in this one. Go with the what should be the underdog, I believe.
Yeah, also the home team, understandable. I got to say, as a self-purported lover of defense, you just hate every defensive battle. It's really wild to me.
I really don't know. No, I like defensive battles. I hate offenses beating themselves, and there is a big difference.
Welcome to college football. There's not much of a difference anymore. Next up in the rivalry games this weekend, starting us off with Marshall at East Carolina. Marshall put out a sweet graphic on Twitter for this one, which we do not have in the slides, but it is amazing. It's a couple of bison, like looking as if they're clouds rumbling towards a pirate ship on the water. It's really cool. The Thundering Herd's coming to get that ass. Also, I'm taking Marshall for, I don't know, 90% of the reason would be Rasheen Ali.
I was just going to say they're running back.
Yeah. Wild take from, the guy who always loves running backs and linebackers. It is what it is.
I mean, that's really what it comes from for me, but also ECU looked lost last week. Granted, it was against Michigan. To take everything with a grain of salt a little bit, but they don't have an identity on offense, and that scares me going into week 2.
Yeah, Marshall almost lost to Albany at home, and they have to go to Greensville. Thank you. That's my pick.
Oh, I understand. This is a very close matchup, and it is a rivalry game. I'm just taking the better running team. That's all I'm doing here.
That's fair.
Next up, Norfolk State at Hampton, the Battle of the Bay. Here,
I have nothing to add to this. I picked a logo and went with it.
Wow, that sucks. All right. I'm going with Hampton because they're legitimately a much better team on paper, at least. Of course, that's why we play the games. But I will say Norfolk State did lose to a non-Division I school last weekend. That's kind of bad. I do think Hampton has a legitimate shot to at least be in competition for their conference title, even though I don't think they stand actually that good of a chance against NC Central. It's just, they're one of the teams that could be up there in theory for me.
Yeah.
Great time to go on a coffee.
Oh,
good job.
Right. So yeah, obviously Norfolk State did not have a good start to the season. I get it. I fully agree, and I think it's disgusting that they lost to a non-Division I opponent. But I also think that's going to add some gumption, some excitement to want to get things done this week. And Howard and Hampton are in the same conference, correct?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it all straight in my head. And this is a non-conference game. And correct, right? Like I'm on the right train of thought here.
Yeah.
I think pretty sure.
Yeah. So this would, at this point, maybe it wasn't going into it, but at this point, the screams trap game, even as a rivalry. There's no way that Hampton's like, oh yeah, they're gonna give us a good game. We're gonna have to compete and battle for it. So I think Norfolk State might be able to come in and surprise them.
The only issue I have with that, I understand where you're going. The only issue I have with that is Hampton is a good team. They're not that good of a team to have that mindset, but you very well could be right that they do.
Yeah, but Norfolk State
teams have that mindset
bad
all the
enough.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
And it was
see.
a rivalry game. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of rivalry games, we got a lot more to go. Cincinnati at Pitt, the River City rivalry. And I know this game hasn't been played very much, and people question its legitimacy as a rivalry to begin with. I just want to point out that it wasn't that long ago the Cincinnati Bearcats mascot got arrested because of his antics during this game. He went too hard. And if that doesn't make for a good rivalry, I don't know what does.
I'm
Also,
gonna
this
pause.
game will be on the CW, which is hilarious.
I'm gonna pause you there and say Louisville just returned the second half kickoff for a touchdown.
Jesus.
There is a flag though, so we'll see.
Oh, good. Sports scores bot into me.
No, it
Look,
didn't
I'm
lie.
taking.
Yeah, it was holding on Louisville. It's first down.
I'm taking Cincinnati here. They impressed me a lot last week. I understand they played down against an FCS opponent, Eastern Kentucky. They still impressed me. I'm still going to take Cincinnati here.
Yeah, and I mean, we thought Eastern Kentucky, especially with the quarterback play, was going to be one of the better teams in the country at that division, and Cincinnati absolutely shut them down. So that, and Pitt continually disappoints me year in and year out, even when, you think they're going to have a good team. Even with Kenny Pickett, it was just kind of, there's always some disappointment there, and I feel like this is one of those games that's going to be the case.
All we know is the
Completely
ACC is wide open. Thanks, Duke.
Completely understand where you're coming from. I just want to point out that Pitt's new quarterback this year is Phil Jerkovich, who I really like a lot. And he was phenomenal at Boston College when he was healthy. And right now he's healthy. I know he's going to be hurt in like 2 weeks and miss the rest of the season. But he's healthy right now. So I'm going with Pitt.
Is it actually pronounced Jerkovich or is it Yurkovich?
It's actually kind of both ways. He says it both ways, depending on the situation. It's really weird. I don't understand it. It's fine.
All right, fair enough.
Like, yeah, legitimately, it's whatever you want it to be, apparently. Reality is whatever you make it.
Fair enough.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Memphis at Arkansas State. We're all taking Memphis. So I will point out here, though, that last year Arkansas State went 3-9. They scored more than 40 points in 4 games, and they only lost one of them. They were 3-1 in games where they scored more than 30 points. The one that they lost was against Memphis because the Tigers were unable to close out a game. I don't know if that's going to be the case this year. They opened up against Bethune-Cookman, and they had all their backups in at the end of the game, as they should. I hope that Ryan Silverfield has learned to just step on somebody's throat, and I hope he makes Butch Jones cry again. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm interested to see how this one goes, and kind of like this year, they suffered. Arkansas State suffered a devastating loss to a Power 5 team, although this one was a little bit closer. Ohio State only beat them 45-12 versus 60-0.
Oof. Look, Arkansas State impressed me in the wrong kind of way last week. I understand it was Oklahoma. I understand you're going to let up a lot of points. You could at least try to move the ball a little bit.
Well, and I would say too, because again, I didn't get to watch the whole thing, but they were a doormat. They did nothing to try and stop Oklahoma. Oklahoma 100% had their way with them all the way up and down the field all night.
Yep.
So do I really think that Arkansas State's going to win? No. Am I really that super concerned? No, but it does creep into the mind when you see what happened last year.
Okay. Agreed. 100%.
I'm picking Memphis. But while you were talking, I just watched Louisville convert a 2nd and 22 with a throw that was caught at the line of scrimmage. Wild. Also, it was called back for a holding, which is 10 yards from the spot of the foul. So then it went from 2nd and 22 with a holding penalty, 3rd and 15. What?
Good. Good.
And then they didn't convert. This game is hilarious. I love college football so much. They tried to do the same exact thing, too. They threw it to the running back at the line of scrimmage, and he just couldn't get it this time. Oh, man. All right. 4 more rivalry games to go here. Starting us off, the Bayou Bucket Classic, Houston at Rice. Yeah, we're all going Houston here. Understandable.
There's nothing else to say here.
Yeah, there's not.
Yeah. Next up, Jackson State at Southern, a rematch of last year's SWAC championship game. This one will not count as a conference game for some weird reason. I don't understand it. It's counting as a non-conference game. Good for them. But it's also a rivalry, so we're picking it here. I logically should have gone with Jackson State, right? They seem like the much better team right now. But
Southern
also,
looked
it's a
bad
rivalry
last
game,
week.
and I felt like going with Southern, so I did.
My thing here is
tired
Southern
of-
looked bad
also,
last week.
I'm tired of picking Jackson State. We've done it 3 weeks in a row now, and it's only been this is only week 2, and we've picked them 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I honestly thought about Southern too. The home field advantage, the rivalry game, but they've got some problems on offense that I
Definitely.
don't know that they're going to be able to overcome. So
Definitely true.
that's why I went with Jackson State.
Next up, North Carolina A&T at number 18, NC Central. Not
Yeah,
a
we're all going
conference
NC
game.
Central.
Not a conference game anymore. North Carolina A&T is now in the CAA, and North Carolina Central is the much better team. Let's be real.
It is absolutely a shame that the HBCUs still cling to the Celebration Bowl because I would love to see NC Central in the playoff.
Yeah, I think they could do
Yes.
some real damage. It's
Yep.
a legitimately very talented squad. Also, these schools are like within an hour of each other. This is a deep-seated rivalry. Like, this is legit. They fight for the same exact players all the time. So,
I was gonna say this is almost as deep as the Tobacco Road rivalry.
yeah, I would say deeper because these people actually care about the rivalry and not,
Basketball.
people who care for Tobacco Road like don't watch football most time. So fuck them. Next
Fair
up,
enough.
Stanford at number 6, U of SC. The Southern California Trojans are the heavily favored squad in this game for what we all seem to agree is a pretty good reason.
Yeah.
Look, Stanford's going to put up points against USC. They're going to. It's a foregone conclusion. Everybody except Nevada puts points up against USC. I just don't see Stanford stopping USC's offense.
I just want to say it so that you guys can't say it and hurt me in the process. This is a very classic ACC at Big Ten battle. Looking forward to it.
God.
This is going to be a great Pac-2 matchup.
That's why it's on 10:30 Eastern time on Fox.
Oh my
Gotta
God,
love
that's
it.
disgusting.
Pac-12 After Dark lives
Oh,
strong,
God.
baby.
God bless.
America.
They could just get up early and be the first game to kick off the fucking week, but no, they gotta do Pac-2 After Dark, Tupac After Dark. They should have learned from that. What happened to Tupac After Dark? Everybody knows what happened to Tupac After Dark. Why are they doing this?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
yeah.
I think
After
that's
Dark,
still
he
unsolved.
moved to the Caribbean. That's what happened. Definitely.
He's definitely not dead.
Yep. All right, time for our picks of the week. Yep. If you're listening on audio, you're missing out. This is a great time. Starting off, hand it over to Bug. What do you got?
So I know how much Tug loves senior military academies. And looking through the Citadel schedule, I thought they probably don't have another good chance to win a game. So I picked Campbell versus the Citadel. And with Citadel hosting, I said, you know what? We're going to take Citadel.
Look, I trust Citadel. None. Absolutely none. I have no reason to trust Campbell either, but for somehow I trust them more. I'm taking Campbell.
Campbell is the much more talented team, and also Citadel looked like absolute ass last
They
week.
did. They absolutely did.
I, on paper, hand this one to the Campbell Camels. I don't know how that's going to turn out in real life. We will see. It's also the first year in the CAA for Campbell and the first year of this new logo, which looks pretty cool. I love it.
They should have gone with the Camel Man, but that's probably still trademarked. Anyway, moving on to my next game.
It's also
UCF
the Marlboro Man, but all right.
No, they've got a Camel has a camel.
Well, yeah, the camel, but you said the
Yeah.
Camel Man.
Yeah, well, I don't remember what his name is. UCF at Boise State preseason. Preseason, this one was looking awesome, and then Boise State looked like shit last week. They looked like a bunch of shitters. And then UCF dominated and made some classless tweets about Kent State. I'm going with Boise State because regardless of the fact that UCF is practicing on a blue turf in the local area at a local high school, they're not going to be used to a blue turf with people there supporting the Broncos. I'm looking for Boise State to have a big bounce back game in this one and make a statement as well against the Golden Knights.
Is Boise State still forbidden from wearing blue on their home field?
Nope.
No, they haven't been for a couple of years.
That's disgusting.
Since like 2015. It's been a long time.
Look, I actually don't think Boise State looked that bad last week, but I do think UCF looked a little bit better, even if it was against Kent State. I'm going to take UCF. Yeah, last week, Boise State wasn't bad. Washington was just good.
I agree with you, Tug. That's a bad sign for me. It never goes well for me, but here we go. 2 for 2 on this slide.
Hey, I've got a running back to trade you if you're interested.
I think he's going to go against the grain here for Illinois at Kansas. This one honestly was just homerism. I'm very interested in how this game's going to turn out. When I made this pick, Jalen Daniels still hadn't been cleared to play. With that changing, I'm still leaning Illinois. But this does change the game a lot, and I would be even less surprised if Kansas pulls this one out.
I did not know Jalen Daniels had been cleared.
It literally happened about 2 hours ago when I got the notification.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys going to yell at me are you guys going to yell at me if I change my pick? Because here's the deal.
Yeah.
Illinois' defense did not impress me at all last week. They looked bad. Now you add in somebody on Kansas who made them look like studs last year and is a legit quarterback prospect. I'm gonna lean that way. I'm gonna swap this out to Kansas here.
Yeah, I'm gonna yell at you. You're gonna get yelled at very hard after the show.
Okay.
Not on air though, because it's gonna hurt our listeners' ears, and I care more about them than I do about your feelings.
Cool. Slides are lying to you.
Also, I do want to say I made the Kansas pick before Daniels was cleared to play in expectation that he would be, simply because I knew it was nothing but back tightness last week. Taking some precautions because he was injured last year. I totally understand where they're coming from with that. But I figured he would play this week, and I was right, and I love it. I really want Kansas to win because good Kansas football is
good for the sport,
for
honestly.
everybody.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with Illinois because I'm not a wimp. And I also knew that Jalen Daniels had a chance of being cleared and playing in this game as well. But even with that, I was like, you know what? I think Illinois got something to prove. This is going to be a good test for both teams. I wish Illinois would have been playing them last year. I feel like it would have been a little bit of a closer matchup, at least on paper. So we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do this year.
Yeah.
All right, time for my games this week. I picked 2 FCS versus FCS matchups because I love them so dang much. This is the first matchup this season between 2 teams who both made the playoffs last year in the FCS. Elon at Gardner-Webb on ESPN Plus. Very much looking forward to this one. I'm going with the home team here. I don't know what y'all are doing.
I'm taking Elon. I'm taking the Muskrats. I know they're the Phoenixes, but
you took my joke. You knew taking Elon, like taking an Elon game was a bad call because we were just going to make jokes like this the whole time. I'm surprised they haven't changed their logo to an X yet. I feel like that's new. Or a Cybertruck. Can you imagine a Cybertruck driving through an X for no reason except that it's Elon? So, and they're the Muskrats.
They are the Phoenix right now, so it would make a lot of sense for them to at least arm their mascot on the sidelines with one of those not a flamethrowers. That could work pretty good. I am going with Gardner-Webb here. I do think they are the better team overall right now, and it's at home. I didn't trust Elon last year either, but I do expect this to be a very close game.
Doug, the only caveat I have to say for that is last week you told us flat out that TCU is the better, more talented team. You disagreed with Bug and I, and we saw how that one went. So I'm feeling pretty strong about this pick right now.
Good luck. The yelling's just getting worse and worse for you. Next up, Missouri State at UT Martin, another very strong non-conference game to start us off in the FCS slate. This was honestly hard to pick, only two. I think there are some awesome games down the FCS level this week, but Mo State at UT Martin, phenomenal. I'm going with the Skyhawks here, and I don't even know that I trust it myself. Like, Missouri State could be really good this week and then really bad next week again. It's just that's kind of what Missouri State likes to do now.
That's unfortunately the problem with Missouri State is they lack consistency, and I don't know what it is. It's not that they don't have the talent, surely. It's just that for whatever reason they like to come out like gangbusters some weeks and like Cubs the next week. So it's I'm interested to see how this one goes. Sorry.
Like gangbusters one week and then like nutbusters the next week.
Oh God.
They're busting one way or another.
That's right.
Oh God.
Busting makes me feel good.
Yeah, I also don't trust UT Martin. And I'm going to give a little bit of an edge to Missouri Valley every time when it comes down to something this close for me.
Sure, fair.
I'm not gonna lie. This was a logo pick for me. I like UT Martin's logo better.
Disturbing. All right. For my FBS game to watch this weekend, I'm taking Wisconsin at Washington State. Wisconsin is ranked number 19. Washington State is not ranked. However, I'm thinking of this two different ways. First of all, you have a Wisconsin team who was playing it very close with Buffalo for 3 quarters there last week. This team is obviously not gelled quite yet. A lot of transfers, and we'll see what Luke Fickell can do to this team in a couple of years. I would expect them to be phenomenal and competing for Big Ten titles. The fact that people expected them to do that in his first season is a little bit shocking to me, simply because of the sheer size of the rebuild ahead of him and the change in schemes that he was going to bring to both the offense and the defense. So for it to be close with Buffalo last week really didn't surprise me as much as everyone else seemed to be surprised by it. And second of all, Washington State beat them in Madison last year. And now this year, it's in Pullman.
Yeah. Yeah. I have not trusted Wisconsin for about 3 years, and that's not going to change with a brand new head coach. Well, it's not one of those things that with, Luke Fickell is a great hire. He's a big hire for Wisconsin. He's not the same big hire, big name that Colorado went and got. He's not having to completely change the culture. I do think Colorado is going to simmer back down, but kind of like what you said, this is going to be more traditional of seeing a new coach come in with a new scheme. And let's keep in mind too, he didn't cut 50, over half of his roster like Prime did out in Colorado. He's trying to do this with the guys that are already there, which makes it that much more difficult.
Look, I see what you guys are saying, but I also really did like what I saw out of Wisconsin's running game last week. Yeah, it took them a little bit to get going, but once they did, it was over. Yeah, it was close. It's week 1, close game to start. 3 quarters, cool. The team caught a rhythm and got going, and they didn't look back. I don't quite know what Washington State's bringing to the table yet this year still. The Pac-12 has to lose at some point to another conference, and I have that right here against Wisconsin.
Nah,
I would argue
non-conference. Let's go, baby.
I would argue that you start that slow against a Power 5 opponent, you're going to be in a lot more trouble than if you start that slow against Buffalo.
I agree, but we're talking week 2 now. I'm not expecting them to come out slow the same way again. Right? Week 1 is still a different beast.
That is indeed
Also,
why we play the games.
I also do want to shout out that I've been an original card-carrying member of the Cam Ward fan club since his freshman season at Incarnate Word.
Show us the card.
No, you don't get to see it because you already fucked it. You fucked it up already this episode. You don't get to see it. I'll show Buck later.
Hot. That's hot.
All right, Tug, your games this weekend. What do you got?
All right, I'm taking one that I really just like the matchup here. Now, both teams kind of didn't look as good as I expected them to last week, but I still like the matchup here in the FCS. It's St. Thomas traveling down to South Dakota to take on the Coyotes here. Look, St. Thomas was real close against a Division II opponent. This is the first time they've looked like a normal college team in transition for the first time ever. And South Dakota didn't look great, but they still looked like they had it more together. They're used to this. They're at home. I'm taking South Dakota here.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the school that offers athletic scholarships. South Dakota it is.
St. Thomas still doesn't offer scholarships? Are they not at that
nobody
point?
Nobody in the Pioneer League has athletic scholarships.
I now hate the Pioneer League.
Fact.
All right, let's.
That makes 2 Division 1 FCS conferences that do that.
Why?
Yes.
Why?
Because they want to be like the Ivy League. Look, St. Thomas has done a lot of really.
The real answer is most of them can't afford it.
Yeah.
Be honest with each other.
Be Division III at that point. Like, it's the same
They
thing.
were.
St. Thomas tried.
St. Thomas was. They got kicked out.
Why jump to have the same restriction, though?
Because that was the only league they could realistically get into. No scholarships. The D2 wasn't even taking it.
Everybody on that team is on scholarship. It's just an academic scholarship.
You don't know that. And second of all, they do not offer athletic scholarships. That's a
fine.
legitimate fact.
They're academic.
I cannot guarantee that. As a matter of fact, some of these schools in the Pioneer League think of themselves as very good universities, including St. Thomas here, and would not damage their own reputation by offering 2.0 GPAs some academic scholarship. Let's be real.
I'm telling you, man.
Back to the point at hand. I just don't trust South Dakota, and St. Thomas, while they looked human last week, has been on an unreal tear since their time in D3 and then subsequent call up to the FCS. A league they were forced to join into, a division they were forced to join into. The school is too small to be an FCS school, and that's part of why they can't. Kind of going back to it, that's why they can't offer athletic scholarships. They don't have the money.
The school itself is not too small for that. The school is a decently sized university. The athletic facilities are not up to par with a Division I athletic facility university. And
they are in the process of upgrading
very quickly.
Yeah.
They definitely are, but it's going to take some time here.
Yes.
And I don't think that they can really compete with a Missouri Valley school at the moment. Is where I'm
and at. That's what I was going to get to. While I would go with South Dakota typically as a Missouri Valley team here, especially at home, I've seen kinks in the armor of South Dakota the past 2 years. I do think St. Thomas is going to be able to exploit that. You don't have the run that they have without some good coaching and being able to pick things out like that. So I'm going to give them just the slightest chance to win, and that's enough for me to pick them over South Dakota.
I like the pick. I like it's different, to be honest.
Avoids the skunking. Appreciated.
Yep.
I don't want to get skunked by South Dakota, honestly. That played a small part in it, too. I'm fine with getting this one wrong.
Fair enough. That scares the shit out of me. But I really do think this is going to be a good game. I also...
What's the game?
Texas A&M at Miami. Look, I somehow trust Jimbo Fisher less than I trust Iowa's offense. Dude, he's disappointed ever since he's disappointed ever since he's gotten to Texas A&M. I don't really see this turning around. Miami actually looked solid last week. Granted, it was against Miami of Ohio. But look, Tyler Van Dyke's only going to warm up into the season, come into his own. That Miami defense is solid under Mario Cristobal. I'm expecting Miami to pull this one out and crack that top 25 this week.
The grand slam hire of the offseason in college football was bringing in Bobby Petrino to be your offensive coordinator. Are you kidding me? Oh man, Texas A&M so much fun to hate.
They have already proven that money cannot buy a successful team.
Or
a couple times
coach.
over. A couple times over. Why would this year be any different? They're 23 because they're Texas A&M and they're in the SEC and they're on the road.
They're on the road against a Power 5 opponent. I'm picking the opponent every time.
Yep.
Unless it's Alabama, because for some reason they're Alabama's
they beat Alabama in College Station. They don't beat Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
That's valid.
Especially helps actually that Miami's unranked. That almost guarantees this even more than if Miami were ranked.
Look, all I'm saying is we're primed up for another field flooding, so we're good. We're ready to rock. I love college football.
There won't be a fine for because it's not the SEC. Go fuck yourselves.
Exactly.
All right, my final game of the week is another Pacific Coast. Doug, this is a shout out to you. I'm giving you another Pac-2 team.
You took two SEC ACC matchups.
God damn it. Look, the skunk is off on this game, though. I'm taking Auburn at Cal, 10:30 Eastern on ESPN. Pack after dark. It's going to be interesting here. Look, I'm going to let you guys take this. Why are you leaning Cal here?
Because the SEC is 1-10 going to the West Coast in their last 11 tries. And Auburn's not fucking good. This is a night
game across the country. Auburn is not good yet. I do appreciate the direction they are headed with Hugh Freeze. Legitimately, that is not a bullshit statement, even though it sounds like it, because why would anyone trust Hugh Freeze and his direction at anywhere? But they're recruiting very well.
Certainly not his morals.
Right. Unfortunately, recruiting very well does not help him in his first season at a place. And I got to be honest with you, the Cal Bears impressed the shit out of me last week against North Texas. I expected that game to be pretty dang close at North Texas, and Cal fucked them up. So look, I'm taking Cal.
I think both of these teams look better than what I expected them to in week one. I do like Hugh Freeze as a head coach more. I saw what he did at Liberty. He's bringing that to Auburn now. He's back in the SEC. Yeah, I don't trust Auburn in the SEC, but I like you said, I like the direction they're going. I like them against non-conference opponents. I watched them absolutely handle their business against UMass. Granted, UMass, but they handled that business all game. I do like Auburn here on the road. We'll see how it goes. I understand picking Cal, but I am sticking with Auburn on this one. I'm not going to change my pick again.
Good. We weren't going to let you.
You ass. And you're impressed.
All
right.
Ass.
Mine was funnier. All right. Next up, we like to do this every week as well. I pick two players who very probably won't get drafted, but it's fun to talk about them anyway. Or at least like day 3 type kind of guys who could find themselves getting their name called. In Detroit this year, the NFL draft, that's brutal, gotta say. Starting your career in Detroit.
Can only go up from there unless you get drafted by the Lions.
In which case,
you're already there.
Stay down for quite some time, so it sucks.
All the way to retirement. Ask Megatron and Barry Sanders.
Gotta say, this is
an
the second
early
year in a
retirement.
row that the draft is within driving distance for me, and I'm much less likely to go to this one than I was last year. So that is, I hate to say it, it is true. Detroit sucks. All right. So one offensive, one defensive player this week who might find themselves in draftable territory. Starting off on the offensive side of the ball, it is not a running back yet again. I'm really
I feel like you're
trying,
doing
guys.
this on purpose now.
I'm running out of other options. It's about to be a running back nonstop the rest of the season. But, in the meantime, I want to talk about Trey Harris for Ole Miss, a guy who I legitimately did not know his name until last week. That is impressive for someone who is closely in tune with college football as I try to be. And the fact that he was an all-conference player last year for Louisiana Tech. And I straight up didn't recognize him at all. Then he comes out last week and sets a school record for receiving touchdowns in a game. That is pretty wild. I did not expect that at all. If anyone were going to do that, I would have thought Sakari Franklin, the UTSA transfer, but no, it's the Louisiana Tech transfer, Trey Harris, who is also a big guy, 6'2", 200. Love that size. And if he has breakaway speed for 4 touchdowns last week, I want to see him do it again. Let's keep this going.
He almost put up half his touchdowns in 1 week. I think we found the favorite target for Ole Miss's quarterback.
If he stays on this pace, he will have 48 touchdowns in the regular season. And also, they will be in the SEC championship game if that happens.
Disgusting.
I'm just saying it now.
That is disgusting.
That would be hilarious. And Bug would hate it, which makes it even more hilarious.
I would absolutely hate it.
Are you running out of not linebackers?
I have a few more defensive backs up my sleeve.
Cool.
I'm starting this one with safety from Kansas, Kenny Logan Jr., who I was convinced for a little while there this week that I'd already talked about him last year in this series.
I remember the name.
He was a junior last year, so I doubt I would have picked him. And Bug said I didn't, so I went with it. This is senior Kenny Logan Jr. That's confusing if you just listen to that. Senior Kenny Logan Jr. 6 foot 200.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. I honestly, I read it as Kenny Loggins, and I was like, "Isn't that some singer songwriter? Like, why are we talking about Kenny Loggins at first?"
That would be amazing. I need Kansas to run out to highway to the danger zone now. Led by their safety, Kenny Loggins. That's all right. Talking about his performance the past couple of years, he has been one of the leading tacklers in basically the entire Big 12 because the Big 12 doesn't tackle, as Tug likes to say.
I was just going to say Big 12 doesn't tackle.
I know you were. That's why I beat you to it, so you can't hurt me. Kenny Logan is one of the really good ones at it. He also gets in the way of the football as often as possible, even from that safety position. Last year with 4 passes defended and 2 interceptions. Also forced a fumble last year. Very good stuff. Would like to see him be put in some more pass rushing situations. I do believe he is capable of that, but not really given too many opportunities for that. They need him as a free range, find the ball kind of a guy way deep in the backfield because he's really good at that, and they don't have anybody else who's really good at that. So that's what Kenny Logan does most of the time. Here's the thing. He's probably the size to play a strong safety. So we'll see what the NFL actually wants to do with him. Should he get drafted? Might be a little bit of a position change. Might end up finding himself in the box a little bit even at the next level, which Kansas doesn't do a ton with him. Could do with him, though. It would be fun, and especially against a team like Illinois, who prefers running the ball. That's just who Brett Bielema is as a human.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put Kenny Logan in the box. Let's do it.
I'm all in.
Put Kenny Loggins in the box, in the jukebox.
Just hit play.
The jukebox hero.
Jukebox hero.
Oh man, but that's all that we had for this episode. That was a lot of games, almost 30 games that we picked this week. So if we don't get, at least
12.
if I don't get at least 16 of these right this week, I'm going to be pretty angry for the third week in a row.
Oof.
Not going to lie.
It'd be funny. It'd be such a weird way to start out the season. I'm not super confident this week. I'm not going to lie to you.
Look,
I did
Doug
not
has a
feel comfortable following
superpower,
those.
an advantage against us. He's picking games against teams that he knows I know very little about. So it's Elon.
Yeah, but you picked with me for almost all those games. So,
I picked, but hold on. If you remember when we were going through this, I made all my picks before you did, except Alabama. Because you were
That
still
is
setting up
true.
the slide.
That is true. Fuck you. That's where we're at.
So
It's also
wait, so you picked with me, which we both know is a very dangerous proposition for you.
I didn't look at your picks until I was done making my picks. That's the honest truth.
All right.
Go suck yourself. Figure it out, Tugas.
No.
Hey, you got some links for us?
Hold on. Before I do this, because you guys kind of shocked me on Thursday or Monday this week, do you have a joke for us?
Maybe. My joke is,
Well,
Doug's going to read the links now. Yay!
I was sitting here waiting for a dad joke, and all of a sudden these two are gone.
The joke is it's 42-0 right now. Louisville's up by a lot.
Murray
and
State is the joke.
Murray State is unfortunately the butt of the joke this wonderful Thursday night of college football.
All right. I don't know how this is going to go, so if I get shocked again to the audience, I'm sorry. But we have our links, patreon.com/BTFootball, x.com/BTFootball, facebook.com/BTFootball, instagram.com/BT_football, BDTfootball.com, mailbox at BDTfootball.com, YouTube /@BigDudesInTheTrenches. Our Discord will be linked in the description below, along with everything else. My co-hosts are back, and I'm not alone anymore.
hey, I have a green
Hey.
ball in one hand. I have a green ball in the other hand. What
You
do
might
I
want
have?
to get that checked out.
You have an STD, my friend.
I have Kermit the Frog begging for mercy.
Oh, no. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's clearly all the time we have on the show.
Grab, twist, and pull, baby. That's what it's all about.
Oh, God. That's all the time we have on the show today. Thank you for watching and or listening. And just remember, you can't win a game if you can't win in the trenches.